So I just need our people prepared.
That's right.
That they're going to attack black institutions.
Absolutely.
So if there ever was a time
Absolutely.
for black institutions to be aligned and for black people to understand the fight we're about to face, if they are undoing a settlement. See, this is why I went off and see, I told y'all, I talk to folk on all kinds of different sides. See, I love these people who claim, man, you're a Democratic shield. No. I'm here for black people.
I just got called that on Blue Sky.
I mean, whatever. They stupid. We fight for black people.
Right.
So whether you're Democrat or Republican, I've said to black people, we still constituents. Trump still should be funding HBCUs the same way Biden and Harris did. We still constituents. So understand, today, I sent an email, I sent a text. First of all, I sent a series of tweets. Then I text him, because Daryl Scott, Pastor Daryl Scott out of Cleveland, he posted a tweet. And his tweet was, go ahead, I woke up to a call from President Trump this morning. We talked about a lot of stuff, politics, tariffs, sports, had a lot of laughs. One thing stood out. He said, quote, last administration, I was fighting for survival and the country. This time I'm fighting only for the country. That's my dude. Okay. So I responded, okay, Pastor Scott, did you ask Trump why he canceled a DOJ lawsuit against petrochemical companies in Louisiana that are killing black people in an area called Cancer Alley? Hey, Pastor Scott, did you ask Trump why he called a deal in Lowndes County an illegal DEI settlement? 9,800 mostly black people have had raw sewage backed up into their homes and yards due to lack of an infrastructure investment by Alabama. Also, Pastor Scott, did you ask Donald Trump why his HUD canceled investigation in Harris County, Texas, where the Biden-Harris administration said the state refused $1 billion in hurricane relief to a black and brown county? Also, Daryl Scott, did you ask Trump why his DOJ pulled out of a lawsuit alleging black and brown voters were disenfranchised in the 2021 Texas redistricting? Hey, Pastor Scott, did you ask Donald Trump why he won't put pressure on Republican governors in red states to pay HBCU land grants for $13 billion they are owed? Did you ask him why $17 million in grants were canceled at FAMU's pharmacy school? Here is what I know, Pastor Scott. Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, Burgess Owen, Wesley Hunt, Sharice Lane, the Cartier folks, Hodge twins, David Harris, Joseph Pinion won't say a damn thing about these issues. Y'all black MAGA tout how great he is, so let's see y'all speak up. Now, Pastor Scott, if you're going to go hard at Charlie Kirk for his racist attacks on MLK and black doctors and pilots and call out the foolishness of Candace Owens, let's see you speak up on the issues I outlined. I'll wait. So 5 hours ago, I see he responded. No, he told me to tell you to call him. Then he later tweeted, I saw, I didn't realize, let me see, did I see the tweet? He said, I saw it earlier. He said, oh, I didn't know I worked for you. Y'all know I'm about to go ahead and respond. So let me just go ahead.
Oh, Lord.
You know, I'm gonna respond on Twitter in a second. Now, let me just go ahead and respond to his ass live. You know, because see, I just a firm believer, y'all, that sometimes you just got to go ahead. Well, Scott, let me find it. Well, Daryl Scott, I dare you to set up a one-on-one live interview with me and Trump. My studio is 2 blocks from the White House. Pick the day and time. Hold up. One-on-one live interview we can go 2 hours or longer, and me and my, so y'all know I ain't scared. My Black Star Network team will be there. I'll ask him all of this directly. Let's see here. Since my thing is I'm over characters, let me go ahead and edit, period. Boom. Let's see if he responds. See, y'all, here's the whole deal. This is the whole point I'm talking about. These black MAGA people do not represent black people. Nola, these black MAGA people are not going to fight for black people. These black MAGA people love to go to White House functions, love to run their mouths. They love to come to the black community and go on black radio and tout Trump all he doing for black folk. But when you ask them directly about very specific actions Trump has taken that have a detrimental impact on black people, all of a sudden they get quiet. Now, Scott knows. He texts me he sent me text messages when he was going after Charlie Kirk. He sent me text messages when he was going after Candace Owens, but it's amazing how he responded to this text message. I guess he a little too busy.
I always think about this, even going all the way back to slavery days, you always had those black folks who was going to sell you out to massa. It's still the same folks, the same way we are still dealing with the same sort of militia folks, from the Civil War, the same sort of racists, the same sort of white supremacists. It's the same sort of black folk who absolutely would have sold all the slaves out who were trying to escape. It's the same sort of mindset. If you cozy up to massa, if you think that, he feels like you're on his or her side, then you will get all the benefits of whiteness. That has never worked. It won't work. And I genuinely don't know what they get out of it. The thing for me, which is really sad, the amount of self-hatred you must have inside of yourself to sell your soul, to sell out your community, like that. I wish you well. I wish, thoughts and prayers, peace and blessings. That's all. That's literally all I have for you. That's literally all I got.
Well, how should I put this, Greg? I agree, but the only point where I will disagree, let me just be real clear, is I believe that if you are going to be in the room and you claim you love black people, then show it. There should be some proof. Now, for some reason, wait. Let me finish. So I'm gonna use an example. I can't find the interview. I'm gonna find the interview, but this is an interview. This was at Dick Gregory's funeral. When I interviewed, come on, guys. Anthony, come on, thank you. Y'all got to keep up now. Come on. I need you to just go to it. This is an interview of me and Bob Brown. A lot of black folks ain't got no clue who Bob Brown is. Bob Brown worked with Dr. King. Bob Brown got a phone. Bob Brown and when Dr. King was hitting companies, the companies would try to cause money black. How can we fix this problem? They would call Bob Brown. They didn't know that Bob Brown was working with Dr. King, was on the board. Dr. King called Bob Brown our secret weapon. Operation Breadbasket. Go listen to his August 1967 speech to SCLC, where do we go from here, chaos or community? He literally says it in the speech. Nixon wins in 68. Bob Brown gets a phone call from Nixon. Nixon literally calls Bob Brown and offers him a job. No title, but Bob Brown's portfolio was one of the biggest in the White House. Nixon made it clear, if Bob Brown asked for something, give it to him. Bob Brown wrote in his book there was a meeting, and there was these white generals who were ignoring Bob Brown because Bob Brown felt that how you gonna have the 75th anniversary of something to do with military, wasn't no black 4-star generals. Bob Brown said, no, we're gonna have a black 4-star. I think that was Chappie. The white generals blew Bob Brown off. Bob Brown told the chief of staff, went in and told Nixon called the generals in. When Bob Brown asked for something, you give it to him. Earl Graves was short of money to launch Black Enterprise. The white conservatives in the Nixon administration would not give Ed Graves a grant. Bob Brown cussed him out and said, give him the money. That's how he's able to launch Black Enterprise. They didn't want to give Earl Graves the money because Earl Graves had worked for Robert F. Kennedy. So all I'm saying is, if you're going to be black and MAGA, be like black conservatives or black Republicans who we've known for generations, who actually love black people and actually pushed and prodded on behalf of black people to get things for black people. They weren't there just to get invites to Mar-a-Lago. Greg, go ahead.
It's true. I mean, but we all know, and Roland, you know this more intimately than most, having spent time with people like Bob Brown, and encourage people to read Bob Brown's memoir that he wrote recently, You Can't Go Wrong Doing Right. Arthur Fletcher, who's called the father of affirmative action. His son, I saw his son a couple of weeks ago when I was at Morehouse in Atlanta, who's working on a memoir bio of his father in David Hamilton Gollin's recent book, A Terrible Thing to Waste, Arthur Fletcher and the Conundrum of the Black Republican. Those were black Republicans. Jack Roosevelt Robinson, who walked away from the party because of Nixon and what he saw as the move white in the wake of the Barry Goldwater messes of the 1960s, mid-60s. But that's not what Daryl Scott is. Daryl Scott is dancing on a string. He has no political philosophy. His political philosophy is what's good for me as an individual. And that's truly unfortunate. That's not what Candace Owens is. They're not conservatives. They're grifters. And I can respect the grift because I think that's what a lot of people have when they don't have a political philosophy. You're striking such a resonant chord tonight, brother, because what we're really talking about is black institutions. And we're talking about fear. The Trump administration is trafficking in fear. And when you traffic in fear like that, what you're relying on is to tap into people's fear that they will be hurt. It reminds me of a song they used to sing during the SNCC movement, the Ballad of Uncle Tom. And the lyrics are like, I'm an Uncle Tom, Lord. That's what the people say. But I ain't no Uncle Tom, Lord. I'm just a little afraid. So help me, Lord, to stand up and be a man. And I'll fight segregation as long as I can. And the idea is, we're talking about fear. There are people who will say, well, we shouldn't talk about fighting, and is it going to be violent, and what are you going to do? I would say to those people, don't be scared. You don't love your master, you're scared of him. You don't love your master, you're scared of her. But as soon as you lose your fear, and this is how you lose your fear by coming together with other people. The more people we join, the less fear we have. Last night, around 6 p.m., around the time we went on the air tonight, probably a couple of dozen Howard students put up a couple of tents and created what they would call the People's University on campus. And some of the administrators at Howard approached them and asked what they were doing. And then here come the damn Metro Police Department and the Howard Police saying, what are y'all doing? And then they were encouraged to take the tents down. Now, they stayed to about 4 o'clock this morning. We got a letter this morning from Howard University Official Communications saying that Howard University supports the students' right and everybody's right to have academic freedom and debate and protest, but also saying that some people that come from the outside and were prevailing upon these students and had done this. And as far as I can tell from the students that I listened to today when I asked about it, because I was in class last night and didn't even find out about it until this morning, they said it wasn't outside people, that the people they were told were out there were Howard students. And so I guess, you know, what I'm trying to say now at this point, I'm reinforcing what you said about historically black colleges and universities earlier. And in the context of Daryl Scott, who has no constituency, who has no community, and is just a little afraid. And this is to everyone watching this who's just a little afraid. You're not no Uncle Tom. You ain't no Aunt Jemima. You're just a little afraid. Understand this, that when you stand together, when you join together, we don't have the money that Harvard has. And by the way, Harvard covers costs for anybody who gets enrolled at Harvard, comes to Harvard, whose families make $200,000 and less. That's what kind of money they have. And that applies to international students too. So yes, there are international students who come to Harvard and write the check. But if your family makes less than $200,000 a year, you go to Harvard with no incurring of debt. So they are well fortified. Well, you can't say that it's You can't say that at Stillman. You can't say that with our brother Walter Kimbrough, as you were talking with him last week. You can't say that at Talladega. But this is what you can say. The same communities that surrounded the city of Montgomery when Joanne Robinson, a professor of English at Alabama State University and the Women's Political Council of Montgomery, launched and sustained the Montgomery bus boycott, the same communities that poured resources into them, that fed students, that put together the money to be able to sustain the boycott, those communities can step up again, Roland. Those people who send you envelopes of money, the money that folds and the money that jingles, those that cash out, those who make the annual donation or the monthly donation, those who press money in your hands at airports and in railroad stations, those people are the ones that will make sure not only that we endure, but that we overwhelm these folk. Because when you punch a bully back, when you lose your fear and punch them back, that's when you realize that you shouldn't have been afraid at any point. It's not about anger. It's about fear. And we can overcome our fear together.
You know, Nola, in Trump's first run amok in the Oval Office, he only had one black top aide. And see, I need people to understand. Again, when I ain't new to this, I'm true to this. See, I love all the folk, and these allergies are kicking my behind. I love all the folk who don't understand how we roll and how black media has rolled. When Reince Priebus ran the Republican National Committee, they had a Black History Month program, and I got invited. It was actually at the house they have, where they have their club. Mm-hmm. Now, when I walked in, all the black people, what's up, Roland? All the black people who work there. So we go into the room, all these black Republicans. And I remember there was this one girl, she was a fake black Republican. Her name was Crystal. She used to be on my show sometimes. And Crystal was mad. She got mad. Because when I walked into the room, all these black Republicans were walking up to me, greeting me. And they sat me between Reince Priebus and David Stewart, the billionaire out of St. Louis. And then the next year they had a program at the Howard Theater, and they actually asked me to MC the event with Tara Wall, black conservative. Ooh, was some Negroes really upset.
Oh, man.
But the reason that was hilarious, because see, what the fake black conservative didn't realize, all these black folks in there knew me. Generals, business people, political people, and I knew them because I knew they were real black Republicans. Mm-hmm. So when Omarosa rolled into the White House with Trump last time, I literally called, I said, listen, I can't stand his punk ass. I said, if you gonna be there, be some use to black people. I said, he loved golf. I said, why don't you have him put some extra money in the interior budget for the black golf course in D.C.? That folk the historic black golf course in Washington, D.C., that people don't realize is actually under the Department of Interior and not the city of Washington, not Washington, D.C. I said, you're going to do something. I said, be a Bob Brown. I said, get his book. I said, matter of fact, call Bob Brown. So you know what I did? I called Bob Brown. I said, Bob, will you meet? He's like, yeah, I'll meet with her. Never called. Go to my iPad. His other top aide was Jerron Smith. Trump called him a star, all this sort of stuff. And this is what he looked like. And he came on the show, sounding crazy, defending bullshit. And I come and said, Jerron, I said, here's your problem. See, I said, you defended bullshit. I said, don't defend bullshit. I said, Bob Brown was smart enough not to defend bullshit. I said, if you're going to be there, be of use to black people.
Yes.
That's all. Matter of fact, I ain't got a problem saying it. Daryl Scott, I just text his ass. I said, if you go, and I sent him his little tweet. I said, oh, your text stopped working? And I said, if you're gonna rep black folks, have the courage to be a Bob Brown. And if you don't know him, you need, all caps, to read his book and sit down in all caps, learn from him. He was a real, all caps, black Republican. I'm waiting for his response. Here's the point I am making. We are still constituents. And if there are gonna be black people who are around Trump, loving Trump, stop doing a jig at Mar-a-Lago and then make demands. I'm real clear. When I sat in the room and Biden was in the room and Harris was in the room, and I sat at the table when Obama was there, and in 2 of the 3 meetings I got invited to Trump's first time, I was asking black stuff. I let them other TV anchors talk about immigration and all the other stuff. I brought up black stuff. And if these black MAGA folk want to be seen as legitimate black people, don't just be happy you got invited, actually rep black folks. And I just gave y'all 4 or 5 examples of stuff they should be asking of Trump that too many of them are scared to do. No, now you got to go. Go ahead and finish your comment.
Two things that I want to say. Being from the Deep South, I'm familiar with Republicans, and then also being in the profession that I am, the whole time we were having this conversation, I'm thinking about Colin Powell, who was a Republican who absolutely stood on business, when he was in rooms about black people. And the distinction between MAGA and traditional conservatives or Republicans, I think that's so salient and important. And that's what we have to understand. A lot of them, in my personal opinion, they feel rejected by the cool kids. I mean, when you think about the Kanye West of the world who are drawn, and his ex-girlfriend, who are drawn to the MAGAs, is because they feel like, oh, they accept me. I'm not being judged. I can get an invite to this White House. I couldn't get an invite to Obama's White House or to Biden-Harris's White House, right? So this is very different. We're not talking about people who were raised with a certain set of values. We are talking about people who feel rejected, and they think they kikiing at the White House thinking they're doing something cute when they look absolutely ridiculous. We are talking about 2 different sets of people, 2 different types of people with their standards and the reasons why they were conservatives and Republicans. This is not that, is what I would submit. And so these types of personalities, the pick-me's, they're not trying to stand up for black people. They're not interested in a black agenda. They're not interested in reparations for real. No. They just want to be at a White House. They just want to be included somewhere. They are the pick-me's, which is very different from a lot of traditional conservative Republicans.
Well, I guess I was confused there because when you said the pick-me's sound too much like the pickaninnies. But I was...
Look, pick-me is a real thing. It's not my...
No, I mean, I'm just simply stating it sounded real close. It sounded real close to that other phrase.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.